at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We gotta unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his.
Oh.
And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters. Monday, October 28th. I'm Dean Obeidallah. As always, needy, hoping to be your Muslim BFF. I'm there on Twitter all the time, facebook.com/Dean of Radio. I hope you had a good weekend, my friends. Thank Joe Sudbay for hosting for me on Friday. Thursday and Friday, I was in Washington, D.C. I was covering the Progressive Congressional Caucus. Got to talk to a bunch of members of Congress, meet really a wide range of activists, many I've never spoken to before. And in the third hour of the show tonight and several nights this week, we'll play for the first time, it's all new content, interviews with members of Congress like Congressman Omar and Raskin and Pocan and Jayapal and others, plus some really great activists who are doing remarkable work under the radar. And they deserve a lot more attention. And I'm glad that we met them and talked to them. I look forward to having them on in the future again. Because they're on the grassroots. They're telling you and telling me, specifically when I interview them, but we'll share it with everyone, what's going on the ground around this country. So obviously, the big news yesterday, and we're going to cover that. And it's not just one thing. It's a span of events that happened yesterday. Starting off early in the morning with Donald Trump announcing the killing of the leader of ISIS and extending through the day till he went to the Washington Nationals World Series game and what happened there. Before we play clips of Trump at his press conference yesterday, I want to play a clip of a real president. I want to play a clip of President Obama in May 2011 announcing that we had brought Osama bin Laden, the man who orchestrated 9/11, to justice. And I'll play about a minute of it, and then we'll play some Trump clips and see if you can sense the difference. Here's clip number one.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children. It was nearly 10 years ago that a bright September day was darkened by the worst attack on the American people in our history. The images of 9/11 are seared into our national memory. Hijacked planes cutting through a cloudless September sky, the Twin Towers collapsing to the ground, black smoke billowing up from the Pentagon, the wreckage of Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the actions of heroic citizens saved even more heartbreak and destruction. I directed Leon Panetta, the director of the CIA, to make the killing or capture of bin Laden the top priority of our war against al-Qaeda, even as we continued our broader efforts to disrupt, dismantle, and defeat his network.
So there was President Obama. And, interestingly, in that announcement, at not one time did he take a shot at George W. Bush. At no time did he pat himself on the back or brag about the books he had written or give out details of an operation in a way that could hurt the military's capabilities. None of the things Trump did yesterday. That's what President Obama, that's what real presidents do. And what was Trump's response to bin Laden being killed? He tweeted at the time, not now, Trump tweeted at the time, quote, "Stop congratulating Obama for killing bin Laden. The Navy SEALs killed bin Laden." So when Trumpers might be upset today that liberals and moderates and most Americans who are not Trumpers are not giving Trump the credit that they think he deserves, remember that tweet by Donald Trump who said, "Stop congratulating Obama for killing bin Laden. The Navy SEALs killed bin Laden." And again, Trump did not kill Baghdadi. It was the military who killed him. And so I want to play some clips from this press conference. The first one, this is from Trump yesterday. I think it's fitting. John Oliver on HBO plays the clip, and this is real. This is not edited. There's no jokes. The jokes are around the clip, but here's some of Trump for you, folks. Clip number two.
Major news for us that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, had been killed. And in classic Trump fashion, he was able to take something fundamentally positive and express it in the weirdest imaginable way. Because here is how he described the operation.
They did a lot of shooting and they did a lot of blasting, even not going through the front door. You know, you'd think you go through the door. If you're a normal person, you say, knock, knock, may I come in? The fact is that they blasted their way into the house. They had a beautiful big hole and they ran in and they got everybody by surprise.
What are you doing? Did Trump only just learn how soldiers work? Listen, these guys are amazing. They got these chameleon suits and big shooties and blasties. They don't say knock knock. No, they don't do that like a normal person. They go through big, beautiful holes and they shout surprise. A lot of people are learning about this for the first time. This is new to a lot of people.
That was Donald Trump. That was not edited. That's what he said yesterday. In fact, here he is praising a special member of the team that got Baghdadi. Here's clip number 3.
But wait, because you haven't yet heard, Trump paid tribute to one crucial member of the team.
Our canine, as I call it a dog, a beautiful dog, a talented dog.
That's right. I call them dogs, not like other people who call them furry lizards or barking cats or elephants but smaller and different. To me, they are and forever will be dogs. That's my term for them that I made up.
There are times I have to keep my head from slamming into my computer screen when I'm watching Trump. I'm not kidding. Like, I am stunned. So then here is Trump. We'll play a little clip. Here is without John Oliver, just straight from yesterday, where Donald Trump has to claim that killing Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS, was bigger than killing bin Laden. Why? Because nothing will Trump allow that the black president who he hated could eclipse him. Because as a white supremacist, which is Trump is, that's so off-putting and angering. So here is the next clip.
Bin Laden was a big thing, but this is the biggest there is. This is the worst ever. Osama bin Laden was very big, but Osama bin Laden became big with the World Trade Center. This is a man who built a whole, as he would like to call it, a country, a caliphate.
So only to Trump is the killing, he has to rank the terrorist in his view. And of course, the one he was involved with killing is much worse. You know, over 3,000 Americans were killed on 9/11. Baghdadi did not kill 100 Americans. He killed thousands of others. And I wish Trump could say to the face of relatives who lost loved ones in 9/11 that what he did was bigger than bringing bin Laden to justice. But it continues. And here is Trump babbling on, listen to this. Listen very carefully to this clip. Trump brags, and this is yesterday, folks, the national news. It's breaking news. He brags about books he's written. He calls bin Laden handsome. I don't know why. I've never heard anyone in my life call bin Laden handsome. And then he claims he discovered bin Laden. I'm not kidding. Listen, he claims no one heard of bin Laden, but he knew about him in 2000 and wrote about him in his book. And this is the guy who leads the GOP. Let's hear the next clip.
I wrote a book, a really very successful book. And in that book, about a year before the World Trade Center was blown up, I said, there is somebody named Osama bin Laden. You better kill him or take him out. Something to that effect. He's big trouble. Now, I wasn't in government. I was building buildings and doing what I did, but I always found it fascinating. But I saw this man, tall, handsome, very charismatic, making horrible statements about wanting to destroy our country. And I'm writing a book. I think I wrote 12 books. All did very well. And I'm writing a book. World Trade Center had not come down. I think it was about, if you check, it was about a year before the World Trade Center came down. And I'm saying to people, take out Osama bin Laden, that nobody ever heard of.
See, Trump discovered bin Laden. He was like a talent scout for terrorists, apparently. And he found bin Laden on a camp somewhere. He goes, this guy, wow, you're tall, you're handsome, and you're charismatic. I'm going to write a book about you in 2000. No one heard of you in the West. In reality, folks, in 1998, bin Laden attacked 2 of our embassies in Africa. And in 2000, he attacked the USS Cole. Bill Clinton tried to kill bin Laden. Everyone knew bin Laden. There was a memo given to George Bush months before 9/11 saying bin Laden wants to hijack planes and crash them into buildings. Everyone knew bin Laden, but only Trump could turn an incident, which should have been actually universally applauded, into about himself. That's all Trump knows is about himself. Now, there are some facts surrounding the attack I think that are interesting and compelling. One is, despite Donald Trump abandoning the Kurds, they helped us. They gave us detailed information which made this bringing Baghdadi to justice possible. They gave the layout of his lair. They gave information from inside sources about where he was going to be. So we have to thank the Kurds, and Trump actually did thank the Kurds in the statement yesterday. So with no sense of irony. He just abandoned them, but they were still there helping us. I also think it's interesting that Trump did not inform the leaders of Congress, the Democratic leaders of Congress, he was going to do this like every other president would, but he did inform Putin first. So Trump talked to Putin first and told him over telling the congressional leaders. Now, this happens yesterday. Trump thinks things are going great. Everyone's going to love me now. So he goes to the World Series game last night, Washington Nationals versus Houston Astros. And Trump generally only goes to events where the crowd is pre-selected. You've got to be like when he went to the historically black college last week, turns out there's only 10 college students allowed. They were pre-picked. The rest were just his sycophants and minions there. So Trump is not used to being in the masses. He used to being surrounded by people who think he's smart, who think he's a genius, who admire him, who just want to touch his clothes so they could see and hear again because he's their Jesus. He's their white Jesus. So he gets at the game yesterday, and this didn't work out the way he thought, because he must have thought, killing Baghdadi, the whole crowd's going to love me. I'm a beloved figure. Well, what happened last night? First, on the big screen, they showed members of the armed services, and the crowd cheered. And then on the big screen, they showed Trump. And things changed. So I'm going to play the clip, and what you're going to hear first is the crowd cheering because the images of armed services are going on, and then it turns when Trump is on. Clip number 6, please. As the Washington Post noted, the level of sound of the booing hit nearly 100 decibels. That's the sound of like a lawnmower if you're a foot away. In fact, experts say if you stand in 100 decibel sound for 15 minutes, you'll have hearing damage. That's how loud the booing was, because you can't grasp it there and comprehend it. I was reading today the Washington Post. I found it very interesting. If you see the video, they introduced Trump on the video and he's smiling and he's gleeful and you watch his face. Sort of like melting, like in Raiders of the Lost Ark near the end. But it goes from this gleeful smile to a forced grin to this somber look as he realizes that Americans despise him and they're booing him, and he hated it. And I think what Trump doesn't get, and even some Trumpers don't get this, because Donald Trump killed Baghdadi, which is a very good thing, it does not erase Donald Trump's years of bigotry and racism and cruelty and sexism. It doesn't erase any of that. We'll always remember that. That's who Trump is. He could do a good thing here or there. It doesn't matter. The man is defined. It's not going to change. I don't think we'll see polling the next few days. Does Trump get a bump? I would assume he'll get a little bump in approval rating, but he has a 55% disapproval rating. Most of that is strongly disapprove. I do not predict you'll see any people peel away and suddenly go, hey, that guy who was vile and racist and a bigot and homophobic, I think he's okay now. No, not going to happen. And then it got worse for Trump. The crowd went from booing to chanting, lock him up. And let's play the next clip. I'm going to play from 2 different angles so you can hear it wasn't just a pocket of people. It was the stadium. Here's clip number 7. And then here's from another angle in the stadium at the same time so you get an idea how widespread this lock him up chant was. Let's hear the next clip. Now, Joe Scarborough, Morning Joe, didn't like that. He called it un-American today on the morning show, on his show. And I really don't care what Joe Scarborough has to say. I do care what Democratic Senator Chris Coons has to say from Delaware. I think he's a good guy. And he was on CNN and had this to say, and he didn't like it. And he had some fair reasons for not liking it and some reasons to like it. But let's hear clip number 9, please.
He was booed, and you can hear the chants there of lock him up. What do you make of that, Senator?
Well, forgive me. I'm enough of a sort of traditionalist about our institutions that even at a time when there is a lot that our president does that I find disturbing, offensive, unconventional, I have a hard time with the idea of a crowd on a globally televised sporting event chanting "Lock him up" about our president. I frankly think the office of the president deserves respect, even when the actions of our president at times don't. I certainly hope that we won't hear "Lock him up" chants at Democratic rallies or at our convention. I think that's one of the most regrettable, even at times despicable, actions by candidate Trump when he was running for president in 2016. It reminds me of things that happen in countries where rule of law is unknown or unestablished, and sort of whipping up public furor on both sides I don't think is constructive or helpful.
So I'm going to say I agree with one part of that, only one part, that this chant is something you would have heard in a banana republic or a lawless country, let's say. And that's why all of us, when it first happened years ago, were stunned by it. Pundits, even some Republicans at the time going, that's horrible. We don't talk about criminalizing our political opponents. But with that aside, this is the perfect chant for Trump. Lock him up. And first, because he used it to demean Hillary Clinton. Even to this day, he keeps doing it at his rally. But secondly, and it's not because Trump is a Republican, it's because Trump earned it. Trump is a criminal, period, full stop. Donald Trump is a criminal. I'm not breaking news to anyone listening. We know he's a criminal. And look at his criminality just around the elections. Forget the other stuff, his financial dealings. In the 2016 election, the guy openly asked for Russia to help. While Robert Mueller did not find criminal conspiracy in his report, he wrote the Trump campaign, quote, expected it would benefit electorally from information stolen and released through Russian efforts. In fact, as Mueller testified on July 24th, the Trump campaign officials built their messaging strategies around the stolen information. And add to that, in that report, there were 10 instances that Mueller outlined that were potentially obstruction of justice by Donald Trump. What Hillary did in her emails, and you're going to lock her up at every event, compared to this garbage, is ridiculous. And in fact, with Trump, it gets worse. The day after Mueller testifies, as we all know, Trump's on the phone again with the president of Ukraine, this time asking him to help him win the 2020 election. And not only have numerous former federal prosecutors been on TV and written articles saying these are potential crimes, from bribery to extortion to violation of federal campaign laws. Even Judge Napolitano on Fox News not only said it on air, he wrote an op-ed for Fox News. And I got to read this part because I love this part. Talking about the Ukraine, he goes, Trump was just investigated, soliciting help for his 2020 campaign from... He said Trump was just investigated by Mueller for 2.5 tumultuous years for allegedly bringing the Russian government into the 2016 election. And now he's attempted in one phone call to bring the Ukrainian government into the 2020 election, adding, does he understand the laws he has sworn to uphold? Does Trump understand the laws he's sworn to uphold? He may or may not, but he doesn't care about them. Trump thinks he's above the law. That's Trump's whole life. Born into wealth, thinking he's above the law his entire life. That's what he's about. Senator Coons added a line that I think I would usually agree with. He said, I frankly think the office of the president deserves respect, even when the actions of our president at times don't. In normal times, I could agree with that. These are not normal times. These are times of Donald Trump. And the threat Trump poses to our Constitution and our nation demands that we speak and even chant bluntly and passionately and clearly with no ambiguity. So chanting "Lock him up" is the perfect chant for Donald Trump to be serenaded with everywhere he goes. And he will not, I can assure you, Donald Trump, between now and Election Day, if he's still on the ballot, will not go to another event where the crowd is not completely vetted and making sure they're on his side. Because I think anywhere he goes organically now, people in the crowd would cheer, "Lock him up." And they should. So this is where we are. You're my guest. By the way, we have a whole hour. We have a guest at 7:30. So between now and 7:30, there's another issue I want to talk about later about the House Democrats announcing they're going to have an impeachment vote on Thursday, but why a federal judge on Friday had a great opinion, making it very clear the House Democrats don't need to vote. and that they have the power now to do a full impeachment inquiry. We'll get into that later because I think it's really important that people hear that, because between now and Thursday, Republicans are going to spew all this misinformation. But I want to hear, what do you think of the idea of this chant? Are you concerned? Yes, instinctively, if we were the first ones to do this, I would be concerned. I'd say, I'm not sure about that. And part of the glee in hearing it is that it's a response to Trump. But my point is, these aren't normal times. And when Trump goes away, I hope we don't chant about each other's political candidates in terms of imprisoning them, because that's not what America is generally about. But Trump doesn't care. So anything to inspire our base, to me, every decision that should be made by Democratic leaders is what animates our base to come out and vote and get involved in the campaign to defeat Donald Trump. And this does. What do you think about the killing of Baghdadi? What do you think at Trump's press conference? And more importantly, does Trump deserve any credit for this on any level whatsoever? Are we being unfair and not giving him any credit am I being unfair by reading Trump's tweet back to him, where he said after bin Laden was killed, stop congratulating Obama for killing bin Laden, the Navy SEALs killed bin Laden? I'm just following Trump's advice. He doesn't deserve a modicum, nothing for this. Any president would have given the order. If you had him in your sights. And it's also odd that they found him apparently 3 miles from the Turkish border. You have to wonder if Turkey made a deal with Trump and said, give me the big buffer zone, I'll give you Baghdadi. That's a different discussion. But so let's take a break, come back. You're my guest, 866-997-4748. Be right back after this. Look, it's time the media start calling out Trump's false statements for what they are. Lies.